Okay, I'd like to call the August meeting of the Shenandoah County Public School Board to order at 6:32. Uh, Do I have a motion to convene in closed session? Ms. Shepherd?
Yes. I recommend the School Board of Shenandoah County convene a closed meeting under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act in order to discuss and consider several personnel matters involving the assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salary, discipline, or resignation of several employees of the Shenandoah County Public Schools under Virginia Code 2.2-3711A14.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion to do that as well?
Yes, I move that the Shenandoah County School Board convene a closed meeting under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act in order to discuss and consider several personnel matters involving the assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salary, discipline, or resignation under Virginia Code 2.2-3711A14.
Thank you, Mr. Barlow. Do I hear a second?
I second.
Second by Ms. Roots. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carried. We will be back at approximately 7 p.m. Welcome everyone to our August meeting. Do I hear a motion to reconvene from my colleagues in open session?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Barlow. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Walsh. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries. We are now in open session. The Shenandoah County School Board hereby certifies by roll call vote that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which the certification resolution applies. And second, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening in the closed meetings was heard, discussed, or considered by the Shenandoah County School Board. Each member responds, "I so certified," by roll call vote by our clerk.
Ms. Walsh,
I so certify.
Mr. Gutschall,
I so certify.
Mr. Barlow,
I so certify.
Ms. Rutz,
I so certify.
Mr. Keller,
I so certify.
Mr. Helsley.
I so certified. We next will have the invocation by Mr. Barlow.
Yeah. Let's pray together. Father, we thank you for this beautiful country, for this beautiful county, and what we most of all thank you for this evening is this school system. And we thank you for the challenge before us of educating children that grow up and have honor and truth and wisdom bestowed on them because of the wisdom and teachers who are courageous enough to teach it. We pray that we may be up to the task this year. Leaders, staff, followers, students, parents, stakeholders, all as a team. We pray for your guidance in doing this. We pray for good judgment, that you would bestow wisdom and knowledge as well as judgment on us as we do it in a spirit of mercy and a spirit of love. We do thank you for those who've come before us in the circle of life. We thank you for those educators like Barbara Stout, Judy Cook, and Evelyn Foltz, who have carried the torch before us. And we are reminded of this cycle. We pray that what we do and say tonight will be pleasing in your sight. We pray it in his precious name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Let's honor the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, colleagues, do I hear a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Gutschall. Do I hear a second?
I second.
Second by Ms. Rutz. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? The agenda is approved. Ms. Shepherd, we have some outstanding young people in our audience, and some of us, all of us. Do you have any recognition, please?
Absolutely. So I would like to recognize Mr. Matt Haserman, the athletic director at Strasburg High School, to recognize some amazing young ladies.
You're a young lady.
You can take a step. You look at us.
They're entertainment.
They are, yeah. Good job.
Chairman Helsley, members of the school board, we thank you for giving us this opportunity to recognize this special group of young ladies that were members of the 2022 4x8 state championship relay team at Strasburg High School. They accomplished a lot throughout the year, beginning their season running in snow, wind, rain in our opening invitational, breaking our school record, and proceeded to do that many times throughout the year. Probably, I think, 4 or 5 different times as they proceeded throughout the year. They were the Bull Run District 4x8 meter relay champions, the Region 2B champions, and we have 5 of them. As most of you know, a relay team usually has 4. We have 5 because we had the unfortunate situation of an injury come up between the region and state meet, but we were lucky enough to have someone that could step in and epitomizes the concept of a team. Track and field, sometimes a lot of people think that's an individual sport, but these young ladies are truly a team. Their bond is very special, as Coach Crispin can say. They're a very special group of young ladies, and they're inseparable with each other, and their bond was really great to watch throughout the year. From an athletic director standpoint, it was great because I was announcing the state track meet and got to be there and announce them as they won the state track meet. They're a very special group of young ladies. They finished their year in June by breaking the school record again and going sub 10 minutes and winning by, I think, over 10 seconds from their nearest competition. We have with us our own senior on the team, which was Miss Reagan Robinson. We have Claire Keefe, who was our leadoff runner throughout the year. Miss Tony Rhodes, which was our third runner throughout the year. Megan Martin was our anchor, and Paige Heiserman at the end was our second runner. And Reagan was lucky enough to be the one that substituted in and gave us that person to help us out in the state track meet, and our head coach, Miss Anna Ray Chrisman. And these are your 2022 Class 2 4x8 meter state champions.
All right, ready, everybody? Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Oh.
Congratulations, ladies.
Thank you.
A couple observations. One is that I see you ladies running by my house every day, especially you. And your dedication is appreciated. And you could tell that you guys got a special relationship. I also would point out that Paige Heiserman has been recognized more at school board functions and meetings than any student I've ever known or anybody else. So congratulations, but it's good to see you guys.
And school starts in 5 days. Dr. Heingartner, do you have a recognition?
Starting at the beginning of the school year, or the beginning of the year, Booze Books asked the community to donate books to their store. They then reconditioned the books and put them out for sale. And they end up donating $1 or 50% of the sales to each one of our schools. And the folks who operate this out of Fort Valley Nursery are John and Kara Fogel. If you could come forward, please. They just decided to do this, just out of their own heart and goodwill to help the school division and the community. So, John and Kara, thank you very much for your willingness to help the school division. They've donated, and I don't have my reading glasses. It looks like W.W. Robinson, $331.50, and Sandy Hook has received $315, and they're working on funds right now for Honey Run Elementary School. So, thank you all very much.
Absolutely.
Dr. Heingartner. I know.
All right. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Anything else?
That's it, Chairman Helsley.
Okay.
Don't not leave. See you all. Thank you for coming. Have a great school year. I know you will.
The Shenandoah County School Board welcomes public comment during most regular meetings and during public hearings. School board members do not respond to public comments during the meeting or hearing. Each speaker may speak up to 3 minutes. The board generally allows 60 minutes for public comments on agenda and non-agenda items at the beginning of each meeting. If there are a large number of speakers, the board may limit the total time for comments and or may reduce the time allotted for each speaker. All comments should address a matter related to Shenandoah County Public Schools. The school board will not hear public comments that involve a complaint about an individual staff member, a personnel action, a student disciplinary matter, or a complaint about an individual student or pending litigation. The school board expects that each speaker will be courteous, modeling for our students how one can respectfully disagree with others' views. Speakers will address their comments to the entire school board and not to one individual board member, to the superintendent, to a staff member, nor to the audience. Speakers will not engage in personal attacks. Speakers may sign up as you enter the room here, and the clerk has provided me with the list that is signed up. And the first speaker is Carissa Alger. I think I butchered your last name.
No, it's okay. It's Jenkins now, actually.
They do Helsley a lot too, so don't feel bad. Yes, ma'am.
The purpose of a school library is to ensure that every student can find books with which to connect, although every book in the library may not connect with every student. Good evening, I am Carissa Jenkins of 55 Nikita Drive, Maurytown, Virginia, 22644. As a concerned citizen and potential future parent of children who will benefit from our school library system, I propose that the school board collaborate with Shenandoah County librarians to create a book review policy separate from assigned classroom reading challenges. A different policy is needed because library standards are unique within the school setting. A carefully curated library collection is created by professionals to intentionally include diverse student interests, beliefs, and perspectives. As of this school year, the VDOE will assess educators' culturally responsive teaching, making a varied library collection more valuable than ever. The Shenandoah County Public School System's mission and belief statements align with school library standards. The mission statement says, all members of the learning community are valued and respected. Our belief statement says that all decisions are based on the best interest of our students, and an atmosphere of respect must exist. All can agree that our students deserve value and respect. Author Sarah Pennypacker says, if you can teach children to tell their stories, you've eliminated a measurable drop of evil in the world. Often one needs to connect with another's experience through the written word to bravely share their own story. Those who listen and encourage others to speak up and speak out cultivate an atmosphere of respect. Library books are meant to engage students in free choice reading because topics include diverse beliefs and viewpoints. All students deserve the right to access books that mirror and reflect their lives. As the proposed revised policy KLB stands, this review process better serves material to be used for assigned classroom content. Student personal reading choice serves another purpose and therefore should have separate review process unique to the objectives of school libraries. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. The next speaker is Jenna Jenkins. Good evening.
Good evening. It's Janae Jenkins, and I am at 1337 Hans Lane in Toms Brook. And today I would like to speak as a parent of a child at Shenandoah County Public Schools. I sincerely appreciate and support a well-defined review process for material that is included in an instruction and challenged by stakeholders in the community. After thoroughly reading the proposed policy KLB, it seems this policy is intended to be a review of materials assigned in classroom instruction. I suggest this policy be created for the challenge of recreational reading material in our school libraries that is independent of the instructional materials policy review. This review process will include the professional perspective and experience of the library media specialists and clearly outline a consistent protocol to follow that does not allow bias. Having policies independent of each other helps to ensure review consideration is made in a relevant and equitable manner. If children do not have a reputable source to get information from, they could go looking for information elsewhere and be misinformed. My concern lies in protecting my child's right to intellectual freedom afforded in the First Amendment. My primary goal as a parent is to raise a child who is able to think critically by weighing all sides of an issue and construct her own opinions based on informed decisions without fear of censorship. Thank you for considering my suggestion to continue to develop sound policy that protects the intellectual freedom of our students.
Thank you. That concludes the individuals signed up. Do I have anyone else that would like to speak that did not sign up? Charles Street.
Good evening. School board members, Superintendent Mrs. Melody Shepherd, thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. First, I would like to thank the girls Strasburg track relay team that won the state championship, although they already left. But congratulations to them. That's a feat that they well deserved. First, I would like to second, I would like to thank everyone involved in the work being done at the track at Stonewall and Ashby Lee. I know sometimes we don't say thank you enough, but thank you all for doing that. That's all I have.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak? Okay. Next on our agenda, do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Motion made by Ms. Walsh. Do I hear a second?
Second?
Second by Mr. Barlow. Roll call vote.
Ms. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Gutschall?
Yes.
Mr. Barlow?
Yes.
Ms. Rutz?
Yes.
Mr. Keller?
Yes.
Mr. Helsley?
Yes. Okay, moving on. That took a lot of things there. Instructor agenda. Summer school report by Mr. Hensley. Or his designee. Come right ahead.
Good evening, Chairman Helsley, members of the school board. Mr. Hensley asked us to speak to you this evening about a wonderful summer school program that our students got to experience. This year's summer school was a little bit different than in years past, in that this year we got to take them on field trips and bring in guest speakers so that we could really make the academic content that they were learning much more relevant and purposeful, and so they could also get out into our community and celebrate the 250th anniversary of Shenandoah County. We were very pleased to enroll 256 elementary school students across our 3 schools, as well as 124 middle school students.
And so we're just going to take you quickly through each of the weeks and some of the highlights of what happened at the elementary schools and what happened at the middle schools. And then we put together some picture collages where we hope that you take away how engaged the students are and just how much fun they had. So our first week that we had was an agriculture week. We called it Growing Shenandoah. At the elementary school level, students got to take a field trip to the French Brothers Dairy. They had a petting zoo come to the schools. They did apple browning experiments. They got to design their own flower pots and plant some plants. And then they worked on farmers market advertisements, while the middle school did things like making applesauce. They had a visit from the Farm Bureau who came and did a presentation. Each of the middle schools visited a farm in their area, and then they also planted seeds as an activity, and then they did a lot of research on Shenandoah County crops.
We really tried to integrate the academic content that students were learning with the theme for the week, and so my favorite book that our elementary students read was called Right This Very Minute, and it's all about how right now, as we're enjoying the meals on our plate, our ice cream, all of those things, the farmers are out doing, all of these things to help prepare for that. So really showing the students where their food comes from. And then integrating our math content as well. So a lot of our word problems had to do with students putting themselves in the role of the farmers to solve these different problems.
So these are just a couple of the pictures. Our next week focused on history and culture, and we called it Discovering Shenandoah. At the elementary level, students had a visit from the Frontier Culture Museum, which we got a grant for that visit for both the elementary and middle schools. K through 2 visited Belgrove Plantation, and then students in 3rd and 4th grade, as well as the middle school, went to Newmarket Battlefield. And then the elementary level, they got to do things like tree cookies, talking about the history of trees versus, you know, the normal history that they think of with like the Civil War and all that. And then they got to write their own historical fiction piece. The middle school, like I said, they did the field trip, but they also did a lot of research on each of the individual towns, learning about festivals that happen, like the Edinburgh Old Time Festival, Mayfest in Strasbourg. They did an escape room with Shenandoah County Facts, and then they worked on Shenandoah County advertisements, a persuasion piece to get people to visit those certain festivals and things.
At elementary, we tried to keep the historical content centered around colonial settlers to our area, and then as students moved into 3rd and 4th grade, where they're getting into Virginia studies, they looked more at Newmarket Battlefield and the Civil War in this area. Additionally, our math content was students putting themselves in the role of those settlers as they're applying the different skills, for that grade level.
Our next week was the Geography Week, which we called Exploring Shenandoah. The elementary schoolers were visiting Seven Bend State Park and doing activities with the park ranger there, as well as Friends of the North Fork. And so students got to design their own little cinch sack backpack to carry on to the hike with them. They also got to visit Shenandoah Caverns that week. They got to make a solar oven and make s'mores. We had a camping kind of theme going on. They did a little bit with map skills and map making. They wrote some nature poems after their trip to the state park. They did some camping, choose your own adventure kind of stories. And then they also had a big plan a camping trip project where they planned a trip for them and their friend, and they had to price out how much things would cost, what type of food would they take, what supplies were needed, and they got to write campfire stories. And so it brought a lot of different pieces together. And then the middle school did some of those similar activities, but they also had some additional things with making salt dough maps, looking at the geography of the county, river formation, and mountain formation.
Those maps were really cool to see
Yes.
in their presentations. There are some really cool stories for elementary that's specifically related to our region. I loved Blue Ridge Babies 1, 2, 3. It was a rhyming book, and it's set in the Blue Ridge Mountains, which was really neat for our kids. As well as on the right, Grandma Gatewood hikes the Appalachian Trail. That was really cool because the students were able to see where we fell along that whole hike. And so again, some of our math content where students were talking about planning camping trips, and we were using the specific math SOLs that they needed remediation on, or grade level content. Yummy s'mores down at the river. It was great to collaborate with Friends in the North Fork too. I think one of the great benefits that came out of summer school this year was the community partnerships that we were able to form with a ton of different groups.
Our next week was the business week, which we called Touring Shenandoah. Honey Run went down to the Harrisonburg Discovery Museum, and the other two elementary schools went to Winchester Discovery Museum. We had local businesses come in. DuPont Community Credit Union visited and did a talk about money and savings. Potttown Organics, Flour and Water Company, Strasburg Hobbies, John Henry General Store. Different ones went to different schools and talked about their business, what's it like owning and operating a business in Shenandoah County. The elementary schoolers made a birdhouse craft that week. They worked on a newspaper article advertising if they had a business, and they also worked on a product advertisement about how to persuade people. They also had a chance to do a project where they created their own business. It was a PBL project. And then the middle school had an amazing week where they went to Strasbourg and did an amazing race field trip where students had clues and they had to go around town and check in at local businesses and get their next clue to go to the next place. They also did a field trip to Route 11 potato chips, and then they worked on a business proposal for a business that they thought Shenandoah County should have.
Elementary was able to hear about how different businesses were formed, like the Crayon Man is about the inventor behind Crayola. Uncle Jed's Barbershop is a fictional story, and Lemons and Lemonade was really cute because it was about supply and demand and all of those principles of economics that this young child is experiencing as she hosts her lemonade stand. And the math content here was great because we got to do a lot with money as well as time when they thought about running their own business. There's our own Paige Cross from Triple Tech. They're representing Flour and Water, so that was another nice partnership.
And our final week was our project week, which we called Celebrating Shenandoah. For the elementary school, JMU's Center for the Advancement of Sustainable Energy came out, and with the K through 2 students, they showed the students how they can make sail cars, and with our 3rd and 4th graders, they had solar cells, and they showed them how they could use solar power to operate or move a certain aspect of their parade float that they were making. So they all made parade floats that represented something that they learned about during summer school or something about Shenandoah County. And then the middle school had the option to do the parade float, but they also had other different types of projects that they could do, and you're going to see some really cool pictures here of some of their projects.
We also had some stories about inventors, young Frank, also about being an architect, and so students used that as they designed their floats. It was really cool when I got to talk with the middle schoolers when they were presenting. They had talked to their teachers about how much they enjoyed coming to school this summer, which, coming from middle school, that was super exciting to hear. So that speaks to the level of dedication of our teachers and the amount of planning they put in to make everything engaging and also help grow the students' skills. So we had a great time, the kids had a great time, and we thank you for supporting it. Any questions?
Comments from board members?
I kept running into your groups at Seven Bends when I was walking my dog, and I'd have to go around because they'd all get distracted and want to come over.
Should have joined us.
And then I did spy on them a little bit when they were with Megan, the ranger, and with the pelts and everything. The kids were really excited about that. So thank you for having, such engaging projects for the kids this summer.
And I have to say, just like Allison said, it wasn't just the kids that were excited, the teachers, the community. We were at Newmarket Battlefield today doing some 5th grade social studies things, and Sarah, who's there that works for VMI, she was saying how so exciting it was to work with the schools this summer and how much she enjoyed it. And so we developed a lot of great partnerships that, we hope to continue, and it was a great summer.
That's great. I'm glad you told us what you were doing today, because I thought maybe you guys would cut out and gone to a winery. I saw a picture. No, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dennis, you got?
Yeah, I just wanted to say how incredibly important I think it is to actually get people out into these places, whether it's a business or whether it's a park or whether it's the battlefield. Too often we talk about what's around us and we don't really understand, and we kind of hunker down. Short story, when I was in Germany, we had troops who would stay in the barracks in the caserna, and they went home and they were not very pleased about having been there, and they didn't show who we are to the Germans and vice versa. The ones that went out and learned about the culture and integrated it, they blossomed as human beings. And I think what you probably did was create little missionaries who were going to come home to their parents and relatives and take them to these places too. But I really think this really makes learning come alive and give it another dimension and give them a knowledge. So I think this is an incredibly useful tool. I think it's a great prototype. So thank you for doing it.
Yeah, I want to thank you. It looked, when I scanned through the pictures, it looked like it was a whole lot of fun. A lot of these places, I'll be honest, growing up here, I got to visit because of school. So I hope that, we integrate those, if we're not anymore, into our field trips, and because it makes a huge difference. And in somebody, like me, that, we didn't do a lot of that. We spent a whole lot of time at the river or whatever was really cheap to do to take care of 4 kids. It gave us an opportunity to see things like the caverns and Newmarket Battlefield and Belle Grove, things that even locally we wouldn't have necessarily had the opportunity. So thank you. It looked like a good time.
Kyle, comment?
Thank you. Look, it did look like a very good time.
Like you should have gone. Like you should have signed up.
Should have extended the invite to everybody.
Andrew, you have anything to add?
Hey, I visited Signal Knob one day when you guys were doing this, and it is a lot of energy, and I thought it went very well.
Yeah, I came to, I worked with Central one day, projects, the middle school, whatever. And the kids took pride in what they were was showing, and one of the, I asked them what was the best, and they said visiting the Shenandoah Caverns in our backyard. And they never had the opportunity unless you all, if they didn't sign up, the parents were proactive and gave them something to do over the summer. So thank you. Hopefully you'll be able to continue this next year.
So Chairman Helsley,
Yes, ma'am.
summer school was grant funded this year, so the planning and the implementation was grant funded. We have grant funding for next year as well. So we do plan to do experiential summer school again next summer, and we hope that more students will participate.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good school year.
Yes, thank you.
All right, moving on, information agenda. Ms. Shepherd, you're up. Student leadership of Shenandoah County.
Thank you. I would like to introduce Ms. Christine Simmons, who has some students here that are going to talk about their Chamber of Commerce Summer Leadership Program.
Thank you for having us. Like she said, I'm Christine Simmons. I'm at Central High School. And I first want to say thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for partnering with Shenandoah County Public Schools for this Leadership Academy. It was absolutely amazing. There you can see on the screen we had 13 students total. Every single high school in the county was represented in this leadership program. And just on quick count, and this could be a little bit off, if anything they're higher than what I have. So we had 13 students. We did a full 5 days. We had over 35 guest speakers in those 5 days, and we traveled to over 15 locations. And these wonderful ladies are going to tell you a little bit of what they got out of the program. And I also want to thank businesses in the community, like the summer school. We had a lot of those same businesses partner with us, so that was great for the community to get involved with this. So, all right, take it away, ladies.
Okay, so I just want to say that before participating in this camp, I always sort of thought it was my plan to graduate high school here and then get out of Shenandoah County. I never realized that there were so many amazing job opportunities here, and now I realize that it's really worth it to stay. I never realized how beautiful of a county it is. And I think, honestly, my favorite part of the whole week was just getting to interact with students from the other schools and really make friends that I never would have made without the program, that I still keep in touch with and I still talk to. So it was really cool.
So the student leadership program gave me the great opportunity to see how much we have in the county. And my favorite part was probably getting to see how the Route 11 chips are made.
Yeah.
Yeah. The student leadership program really opened my eyes to all the different job opportunities that we have in our county. Before this program, I did not realize just how many job opportunities that we have. And my favorite part was probably visiting the Shenandoah Memorial Hospital and just seeing the different departments of where our heroes work. I would definitely recommend it to the upcoming students in our school. Yeah.
What grade are you going into this fall?
We're all sophomores at Central.
Oh, okay. Well, have a great year. Any further comments?
So I got to help out with the business day and planned that day, and what Molly said, it's amazing the businesses here and what they do and what kind of jobs they have. You know, we were at Bowman Andros, and you think of it, okay, there's apples, and they put apples in jars, but you forget that there's a lab there, there's all kinds of scientific research that goes into that kind of business, and the same thing with the water treatment. Within Bowdoin that we visited, so many jobs at so many different levels. It's a smaller company, but there's so much more to it than what the title of the business says. And that was a really fun day. And Cariana said that she liked Route 11 chips the best. She was very stressed out at one point because a bag got stuck. And she was so worried that bag was either going to not get filled or mess the whole process up. So I don't know if you know anybody who was watching you, but I was watching. But it was a great group of kids, and you know, as they said, the cool thing too is I love it when our three high schools do things together. I think that's one of the biggest advantages to these programs is that it's not Central or Strasburg or Mountain View, it's Shenandoah County Public Schools, and they all work together and make connections.
And if you would have been around that group, you would have no idea that they went to separate schools. They got along wonderful. It was amazing. Yeah.
Really fun.
Any other comments? Well, thank you. Have a great year.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I can, Dr. Heingardner, I think you're next on the agenda, please.
Yes, just, you see the revisions of those few policies there in front of you. Be happy to, try and answer any questions that you may have about them. Pretty straightforward.
Dennis and Brandy, did you have an opportunity to meet, or is this different than?
We did meet. We had a wonderful presentation by Dr. Heingardner, and we learned some things. Apparently, the very first day when we went in for orientation, the only thing I was paying attention to is my laptop and snacks because I missed this presentation, apparently. But we talked about how, you know, policy comes down from Richmond, how it gets to us, and some of the you know, how it's crafted, and he answered some wonderful questions. We did not specifically talk to these policies so much. I would hope that our policy group gets together and discusses some of these, but I'd like to make sure that we have a chance in our work session to discuss these openly, so public. I understand there's some kind of whispers around on this particular one. So, you know, I would like to have those discussions about what this policy should look like, and of course we've got some recommendations from the public on library books, which is something that I'd like to you know, kind of address at some point. But you know, with this one here, the only question that I had was on policy GAR, and like I said, I know that we're going to discuss this in our work session in a week or two. It's where we took out, it talks about years of experience. It says staff will advance one level for each year, and it takes out of successful performance per the appropriate salary schedule plus any additional compensation adjustment, provided funds are available by the school board as part of the annual budgets. To receive such an adjustment, if funded, staff must be rated proficient or higher on their annual performance. So I am just kind of questioning why we took that part of it out. I mean, in some respects, I get it. You're going to get paid. We have an agreement. You know, I do, you know, would like to ask if we have something where we rate and we give, you know, whether it's stipends or whether we, you know, recognize financially those teachers, because we have some that are just kicking it, that we should definitely. I didn't want this to be taken out to seem like, well, we're going to pay you one way or the other. If you know, you're slacking off this year and your SOLs, you're not passing, you know. So my questioning is, you know, what was the reasoning for adjusting the performance aspect of this?
I'll be happy to. So the reasoning is we have another way to, we have plans of improvement, and that's how we evaluate staff. If staff aren't performing up to par, then they go on a plan of improvement. And it's not supposed to be punitive. So a plan of improvement, the intent is to improve teacher performance. And with that statement that's in the policy, that's a punitive statement. It impacts their, you know, their paycheck. So, so that's the reason that is in there like that. That we suggested removing it.
Dennis?
Yeah, I'd like to not speak about the specifics as much as the process that that Brandy and I found more about when we got the briefing from the superintendent, Dr. Heingardner, and Jennifer Proctor. And it was, I want to thank those three. It was a stellar performance. It made a lot of things really clear to us. But there is something that's important for us to take on, and that is the whole concept of policy development, which is kind of our keystone, is pretty much in the same ballpark as making sausage. We get, of course, the code in Virginia kind of sets the law for us. We have a governor who tells us how he thinks that should be implemented. Well, we also have a state school board who has its own ideas, and then we have a Secretary of Education. And that kind of flows down and gets filtered in some art form through the Virginia School Board Association, which, by the way, happens to be an advocacy group. So putting those five together is not easy, and that crew and your staff does a yeoman's job of putting that together. And when you put that 26 items before us at the last meeting, okay, my head's spinning, but I realize how much work went into that. What I'd like to convince the board of is that what I think the staff has done remarkably well is they've created a couple of crosswalk documents, a matrix type situation where we can actually use those materials that the staff has created to walk back to the antecedents and to the wording in the code and to the intent of those various organizations. And so I think we have reached some agreement that we need a longer lag time in looking at this. I think we as a board need to kind of be aware of those documents have been created by our staff in-house so that we can ask intelligent questions about where they lead. And I think that one of the things that kind of, to bring it into kind of specific focus for me tonight is the public comments. Make it, I'm thinking on the same lines that we've got two different animals here that we're trying to take a look at, and we probably need to develop a separate set of policy, both of those, for just the things that you ladies articulated tonight. So what I'm saying is, in a very long-winded way, is that you guys have done a great job of creating tools for us in the school board to work with. It's not always going to be self-evident, but giving 2 or 3 months to take a look at these, and we draw those things out, just as the question that Brandy just asked, gives us a little bit of time and heads up to take a look at those and ask those. And I do think, Mr. Chair, that we this should be kind of one of our main topics of conversation at our work session.
Okay, we'll make sure that happens.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, as transparent as we can be with our public, with our staff, on why we've, that way we kind of cut down on any of the whispers, any of the, of why we're doing this or what the meaning behind it. And me personally, I would like to bring some transparency back to why we have our policies and what this board is tasked to do. So yeah, I like I said, it was great information, and I surely really appreciate it. Being able to ask questions and get open answers, but yes, I would love to have open conversations about this and a textbook, a library policy during a work session.
All right. Any other comments? So, Ms. Shepherd, maybe at a work session on was that the 23rd?
25th.
25th, yeah. Maybe we can start, obviously library books, the review of that should be, and Dennis and Brandy, you got, some other ideas to tackle, and we'll go from there. Obviously, we're not gonna look at the whole code, we'll be there to midnight.
But the ones that have been highlighted
Okay.
tonight
Right.
will be the ones up for a decision next time, so we need to discuss those at the session.
Okay?
Right. But I thank you for your answer there. I appreciate that.
Okay, next, the resolution supporting Virginia High School classification appeal by Mountain View High School. Can you, Joseph, can you put this up on the screen? I didn't talk to you beforehand. Is that what we have?
I can read it.
Oh, I can read it. I thought, I'll read it. All right, Jessica needs to be thanked here because I opened the North Virginia Daily on the sports page, and it was there about Mountain View is going to appeal the classification from being assessed at 2 to back to 1. And I thought since we met, we were meeting today that we would have a resolution to support Mr. Cubbage and Mr. Dorman's appeal when they have the hearing in Charlottesville. And I'll read it. It says, whereas the Virginia High School League, classification Mountain View High School, Quicksburg, as Class 2 for the 23-24 to 26-27 alignment cycle based on average daily membership numbers. Whereas Mountain View High School is the second smallest Class 2 school with an average daily membership of 355. Whereas Mountain View High School has 7 more students than the largest Class 1 school. Whereas Mountain View High School freshman class incoming years during the realignment will decrease, leading to lower average daily membership numbers. Whereas Mountain View High School is much more compatible in size and scale with Class 1 schools in the region other than Class 2 schools. Whereas Mountain View High School was classified as Class 1 for the previous realignment cycle. And now therefore be resolved that Shenandoah County School Board supports the appeal by Mountain View High School to move from Class 2 to Class 1 for the 23-24 to 26-27 Virginia High School League realignment cycle. So I like to thank Jessica. She drafted that on short notice, and the hearing is sometime in the week of the 21st, I think. It's going to be 23 schools in the state have appealed their realignment, and I think we have a good case that it should remain in Class 1.
I think so too, Marty. One thing I would note here is that I think it's automatic when you reach a certain number of kids, but the fact that in future cycles that, according to our freshman class, numbers are going down, I think that bodes well for being able to say, hey, we're going to remain in the division that we're currently in there. So I think it's going to be successful. I hope so.
I reached out to Mr. Cubbage today. He was in meetings. I did not personally talk to him, but I know he would appreciate this resolution. And Ms. Shepherd agreed to go when the hearing is set, and I'll be willing to go as well. I don't know whether that will make any difference, but I mean, it's in their football season, they're not playing in the Bull Run district. They got individual schools they are playing to be successful, and hopefully they stay healthy and they can finish the season, whatever. So I hope it is successful. So, any other questions? We will vote on that under action items, and that's where we're going. Next, ARP Elementary Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund. Angie, you want to make a presentation?
I believe the first one is the ARPA funds used to be used for the homeless and the homeless students. Did you have any specific questions?
So how is that gonna be helping the homeless students that we had, what, last year it was 19, if I remember correctly?
I'm not sure on the count, but it was.
Oh, yeah,
sounds
right.
about right. But yeah, so this is so Deb Litton would be responsible for these funds, and she would be buying she would be adapting some learning spaces for these children, purchasing and distributing school supplies. She would have storage units and appropriate furniture for these kids. Different things like that. Again, it's Arpa Funds, so there are limitations and restrictions, but certainly going to be used to help those students.
Any other questions for Angie?
And I believe it's $36,000 some now.
36, that's what was on the, okay, do I hear a motion on this action item?
I move to approve an increase to the 2022-2023 budget appropriation in the amount of $36,283.34 for funds received from the American Rescue Plan Act, specifically for homeless children and youth.
Thank you, Mr. Gutschall. I found the words on my page. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Keller. Any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Ms. Walsh? Yes. Mr. Gutschall?
Yes.
Mr. Barlow?
Yes.
Ms. Rutz?
Yes.
Mr. Keller?
Yes.
Mr. Helsley?
Yes. All right, 6-2, Ms. Stein. Estimated state allocation under the strengthening the CTE for the 21st century Act.
And that was just an increase in the allocation. That was about $6,000. Yes, Perkins funds, correct.
Do we hear a motion to the effect?
So moved. Yes. Motion. Yes.
Okay. Motion made by Mr. Keller to appropriate the additional $6,081.88 from the Virginia Department of Education Perkins Fund for the 22-23 budget for the Career and Technical Education Program. Do I hear a second?
I second.
Second by Ms. Rutz. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Gutschall?
Yes.
Mr. Barlow?
Yes.
Ms. Rutz?
Yes.
Mr. Keller?
Yes.
Mr. Helsley?
Yes. 6-3.
I'm just gonna stay.
It's you. You're still here. Go ahead.
Which one is 6-3? Claude Moore. Okay, yes. Same thing. I think I brought this to you last couple weeks ago as well. This was through Laurel Ridge Community College, and the Claude Moore Foundation gave was $300 and some thousand, of which we will get $116,000. $106 of it will be used to get a ambulance simulator, which we will partner with the Shenandoah County Sheriff's or Fire and Rescue Department to use that as well. The other $10,000 is for short-term credentials.
Okay. Do we hear a motion to approve this charitable foundation?
I move that we accept the $116,682.40 grant from the Claude Moore Foundation through Laurel Ridge Community College to purchase a sim rig for the CTE program.
Motion made by Ms. Walsh. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Keller. Discussion? Roll call vote.
Ms. Walsh? Yes. Mr. Gutschall?
Yes.
Mr. Barlow?
Yes.
Ms. Rutz?
Yes.
Mr. Keller?
Yes.
Mr. Helsley?
Yes. Okay, before you leave, I asked you in your office the other day when I was passing through for some reason, what percent of the CARES Act, we got what, 1, 2, and 3? Over
yes,
2
and
years?
then some set-asides, and we've got all kinds.
Okay, and I heard on the news, and I'm not going to tell you what network I heard this from.
Fair enough.
But nationwide, only 7% of those funds have been spent. And if you had time,
Yes, I do. I
I
have.
bet you did. Go right ahead.
So we currently have spent 30.67% of the funds. A good portion of what's left is the CARES 3, which has just been distributed more recently than others. But we are moving forward, and we've allocated a lot of the expenditures already to specific things.
Okay, so about 31%
Yep.
compared to
To 7.
nationwide 7. So we're doing well.
Yep,
With your
we
leadership.
sure are.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
All right, Ms. Shepherd, 6-4, Virginia School Board Associate Delegate and Alternate to the Delegate Assembly in Williamsburg in November, I think it is.
Yes, a school board in good standing is entitled to one voting member and then an alternate to represent Shenandoah County Public Schools at the VSBA convention for the VSBA Delegate Assembly, which is November the 17th.
Okay, do I hear a motion for delegate and alternate?
Yeah.
Mr. Keller.
I would like to nominate Cindy Walsh to be the Virginia School Board Association voting delegate, and Dennis Barlow to be the alternate delegate.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
If we're in agreement with that, are you all good with that? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, then I second it.
Second by Ms. Rutz. Discussion? Roll call vote.
Ms. Walsh? Yes. Mr. Gutschall?
Yes.
Mr. Barlow?
Yes.
Ms. Rutz?
Yes.
Mr. Keller?
Yes.
Mr. Helsley?
Yes. Personnel, 6-5. Do I hear a motion to approve the personnel? Colleagues?
I move that we approve the personnel list as presented.
Thank you, Ms. Walsh. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Keller. Roll call vote.
Ms. Walsh? Yes. Mr. Gutschall?
Yes.
Mr. Barlow?
Yes.
Ms. Rutz?
Yes.
Mr. Keller?
Yes.
Mr. Helsley?
Yes, the motion passes. Sorry, Cheryl, I did announce the previous ones. Forgive me, please. Okay, and 6-6, the resolution supporting the Virginia High School League classification appeal for Mountain View High School. Do you hear a motion to that effect?
I so move.
Motion made by Mr. Barlow. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Keller. Any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Wait.
Okay, yes, discussion.
I do think this. I think that let's touch base with the athletic director.
Oh,
Before we do
did
that,
too
okay.
before. I could not, yes.
Yeah, maybe tomorrow we can get in touch with him. Just let him give him heads up. This is what's coming down from us.
Okay.
So, Ms. Sager was in touch with him most of the day today, and he helped write the resolution.
Okay, good. We're good.
I just couldn't contact him. He was in meetings today, but I made my effort to. Okay, good point. Any other discussion? All right, now roll call vote, please.
Ms. Walsh? Yes. Mr. Gutschall?
Yes.
Mr. Barlow?
Yes.
Ms. Rutz?
Yes.
Mr. Keller?
Yes.
Mr. Helsley?
Yes. Motion passes. Sarah, I'm sorry. All right, Superintendent monthly report, fundraiser activities.
Yes,
Do we have any questions?
So I have nothing to add to the fundraiser report or the monthly nutrition report, but I do have a couple of other things that I want to say. On Thursday,
right ahead.
On Thursday, August the 4th, we welcomed 52 teachers new to Shenandoah County Public Schools, and we're delighted that they selected us to work for. And then on Tuesday, August the 9th, we welcomed our staff to the 2022-2023 school year. And then school starts in just 5 short days. And we wish all of our schools the best first day of school ever. And we want to encourage all motorists to be on the lookout for our big yellow buses and the students that are waiting for those buses as we return to school.
Any other questions? I accidentally clicked. Cindy, you laughing at me?
I'm sorry. I appreciate it.
Remember, Coach Valvano from NC State, if you do 3 things each day, you've had a successful day. That is laugh, cry, and think. So I do a lot, get people laughing at me. But anyway, I looked at the menu for the month. Have you all looked at that?
Looking good?
Our menu for Shenandoah County Public Schools. It's the most colorful thing I've ever seen in my life.
So are we going to get lunch?
Visually, it's colorful. I mean,
Yeah, but the options. Options, and it was in color.
Oh, good.
So
you will be going instead of the VFW.
I will definitely. And they did a great job at our. But I'm going on. But anyway, the menu just. I mean, it should get kids, since they don't have to pay for their meals, eating in our building, and probably most of them, that's the best meal they'll get that day. Okay, since I've already spoke, board member comments. Andrew, you want to start? Since you missed last month.
Sorry about that. I attended the back to school convocation Tuesday this week, and I thought that was very, very well done. And I looked around the gym there at Central High School, and I thought, well, what is it that every one of these people in here, every one of these teachers need? What do they need? Because I think we need to start looking at that in the situation that we're in nationally with teacher shortage. I mean, why are so few college students wanting to get involved in education, or why are we having a hard time keeping teachers, retaining teachers? And I think the answer to that, I might be wrong, but I think the answer to that, one, if you wanted to give one answer, there's probably a lot, but I think the one answer is support. That's what they want, is support. And support looks different. It's not always about, whatever you do, carte blanche, I've got your back. And I know that as a principal that I'd always tell teachers that if you did the right thing, I'm going to support you. But if you do something stupid, then I'm probably not going to do that, okay? But I think that it's important that we as central office staff, as school principals, support these teachers that are out there. I think it makes a tremendous amount of difference to those folks. And I would say that the HR department, probably the worst thing that you can hear on that exit interview when you've lost a teacher is, I didn't feel supported. I mean, you can live with, hey, I just want better pay. I mean, we're always going to be trying to keep up with Loudon in terms of that. But when you hear, I didn't feel supported, I think that speaks to, a number of things that we need to address. So I really like for us to take the time to make sure that we're supporting staff, whether it be through teaching, giving them teaching strategies, or making sure that they know that they're cared for, or we're compassionate for the situation they're in. And it's also support by having that honest conversation that might be uncomfortable from time to time. When I said, don't do anything stupid. I mean, having that conversation, say, hey, this probably wasn't a good choice, or let's look at it a different way. And I think teachers would appreciate that. And the other thing I would say too, if any teacher is listening, or administrator, I think we've reached a point where with student discipline that we need to be consistent, and we need to do it on a regular basis. I know that nationally and locally, it seems that school districts are addressing the cell phone policy. We've got a good policy. We need to make sure that we're following that policy. I think, a decade ago when or I guess it's been longer than that, cell phones first came out, they were fascinating, and we tried as educators to incorporate them in our lessons. That's not gone well. And to be honest, we don't need to anymore. Every kid's got a got a device of some sort that they can use. So, you know, when the policy says don't have your cell phone out in class, then that's what it ought to be. And those teachers who like to say, hey, I'm going to let you do that because I'm your friend, are doing an disservice to the rest of the staff and really to the school division and to that student. I think that's important to keep in mind, because you might think at the time that by being a friend of this kid that you're being a great guy, but I can tell you from experience that sometimes those lessons that are toughest to learn for kids, they appreciate more down the road when they become adults. We had the conversation before the meeting about back in the old days of teaching, and of course none of us go back quite as far as Marty, but you know, I think that you know, there's a place for student discipline that we need to get back to, and I'd like to see us be able to do that. I think that would make a lot of difference also for our teachers to feel like, you know, hey, we've got you back. And having said that, teachers should never send a kid to the office because they don't have a pencil. Okay, you know, that's you got to make sure that you pick and choose your battles here with kids. Give them a pencil. All right.
Thank you, Andrew. Brandy.
I appreciate all that, and I echo all of that. I think that you know, teachers have a tough job. We have some wonderful educators, and to think that they're not supported in what they do, it's a tough gig. And I, you know, just in the last 8 months, I've learned quite a bit. For me, I would personally say I have an open door. Message me, call me, whatever. If you have any questions, you want to have a conversation on why we're doing something, I don't have a problem having an honest conversation. In fact, I encourage it. I thank staff this week, Chad Hensley as well as Dr. Heingardner. You know, I've had some honest conversations, and I surely appreciate it. I gain a whole lot of respect that way. On a lighter note, football season, sports season started, and when I saw this, I had to share it. One of my favorite things about sitting up here is listening to these three. And there's always a conversation. If you don't know how cool guys are, you need to sit and just listen sometimes to some of the conversations about football. And I am not a football person. I apologize. You know, soccer, things of that nature. Wrestling, if you're on the Strasburg side of things, I was you know, we like those. So I found this, and it said a guy took his girlfriend to his first football game, and they had great seats behind the team bench. And after the game, he asked her how she liked it. Oh, I really liked it, she said, but I just couldn't understand why they were killing themselves over 25 cents. Dumbfounded, the boyfriend said, what do you mean? Well, they flipped the coin, one team got it, and then for the rest of the game, they kept screaming, get the quarterback, get the quarterback. And I'm like, hello, it's just 25 cents. That is me in football. So thank you all for all you do. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful year. Like I said, if you run into any problems, anything that I can help with, please reach out.
Thank you, Brandy. Mr. Gutschall.
I won't be able to follow up the previous two acts, so I'll go in a little bit of a different direction. Ms. Shepard mentioned that we had the breakfast the other morning with the new teachers. It was great seeing a lot of new faces, and after I left, I kind of thought about it. There were actually a lot of familiar local faces there as well that were joining us. So it's also great to see a lot of young local teachers or staff members joining us. And then the convocation, obviously my first convocation, being on the school board. You know, when you're a student, you don't think about all the little things, like what's going on in the background and all the processes that take place, the everyday sort of things. But definitely a lot of work put into it. And I know the technology folks were thanked, and the custodians at Central. Of course, Ms. Shepard did a great job with it, Mr. Heingardner, and Mr. Helsley with a nice little speech there at the beginning.
Thank you.
And looking forward to the new school year. So I'm sure it'll go well, and hopefully we can call this a normal school year this time around. So cross our fingers.
Ms. Walsh.
I have a couple things. First, I want to thank you guys, thank these teachers right here for sticking it out for the whole meeting, because usually people come and talk at the beginning and then leave, so I do appreciate you. And I saw Mr. Wargo running around campus a little earlier, so I know he's been busy today. So, and I'll get with you guys a little bit about that policy too. A couple other things, as far as Convocation went, Jessica, that was a great video, the drone video. I know you and Tim worked on that together. That was really cool, so I appreciate that. I appreciate Linda and the staff and Melody for all the hard work they've done getting creative with filling the staff positions that we still have empty. That is not an easy task, but you've come up with some really good solutions, and I just appreciate all the hard work, because I know it wasn't easy. Brandy mentioned football being back. I was really excited, dropping Molly off for band camp the first day, and just seeing all the different sports teams arriving and everybody in their practice outfits and stuff, football and volleyball and everything. That's exciting. I always love this time of year. This isn't officially a school board thing, but I serve as the executive director of the Shenandoah Education Foundation. Melody is the representative from the school system on our board now, and we also have one teacher who serves on the board, and this has been sort of an exciting time for us too. We had a golf tournament last week and raised some funds for the schools. We made a donation to the backpack drive that the SROs do, and they had more kids than ever this year, so they really appreciated the support from everybody who was able to donate to that program. They had 730 some signed up, and then they had more people sign up at Walmart as they were collecting supplies. So, and then we were able to present the Teacher of the Year grant the other day, and that's always exciting. I got a nice note from Dara, and I need to write back to her. And then the last thing, Marty asked me to attend for him, because he was busy with his anniversary, receiving the VSBA Excellence in Workforce Readiness Award. If you guys don't know Todd Lynn very well, get to know him. He is such a go-getter. This award specifically was for our CNA phlebotomy program partnership that we do with the hospital. But he's a go-getter, and I like the title that you all have come up with for him. He's the supervisor of career and technical education and workforce outreach. And workforce outreach is key, because he's always out there trying to find mentorships and internships for our students so they have real world experiences. He's a great guy, and man, he's doing a lot. So I appreciate him. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Cindy? Dennis?
I have two things. And it has to do with a lot of the vision that you've already shared for where we go this year. And I want to make, I'm going to do as I sometimes do and relate this to kind of my military career, which is the 28 times I've been deployed, the times that we've been successful is when we had crisp, clear rules of engagement. When we knew what was expected of us, when the troops knew what they could and couldn't do, when the people that we were trying to serve knew what we were trying to do and not do, everything went well. But when there was confusion about discipline, when there was confusion about missions, confusion about where does it stop and start, everything gets balled up. So I think as we identify those concepts of discipline and clarity on these and the kind of rules and so forth, and I think we need to stick to that throughout and keep that consistency, and that will do a lot to keep things moving, successful. The second thing is that I've never seen so much nurturing in the schools that I visited. We've got great food now. We got teachers who care. We have people who are, I just see these folks in the community all the time doing other things other than school stuff, creating a community atmosphere. That's so cool. It's so great that it's it's a small town feel for the entire county. But all that, the relationships, that good stuff, we've just come through the COVID stuff. It's time to kind of kick that into gear and have it pay off in terms of kind of more robust academics and academic performance, so we can bring that back up to where it's supposed to be. So we have fun, we have athletics, all that stuff, but I really hope that we see kind of a goal to all this, that we can put it all together. And this is about education, after all, and the educational standards go up where they should be, and we make these kids strive for that and not feel complacent about what they are because they're nurtured and loved, but they're nurtured and loved because they can serve and because they can learn and then achieve. And I hope we take that to heart and not just, I know this, not just be friends, but be mentors and strong enough to be strong mentors and put that together. And so I see all the pieces there. I see all the pieces there. And I'm just so excited about seeing it all come together. But I hope we keep that clarity in terms of the rules of engagement and academic performance raised to a new level.
Great, thank you. Well, I've already spoken most of mine. Ms. Shepard, Brandy sent, she's on the internet a lot, about the school divisions around us about discipline. Stanton City, that was the one that you said most of those things we have in place, but it seems like, and you shared that with the principals, and they know what the standards are. The students have it in their handbook.
That's correct.
So everyone knows where we are, and when I was teaching, the most important day of the year is day one, when you set the standards. Whether you're driving a bus, whether you're in the classroom, whatever. So that's fine. And then last month, I gave you that news article about the elementary teacher in Rockingham. And who remembers the title of the book? You was absent. You can be excused, Andrew. What was it?
The Day the Farmers Quit.
You can read well. And I ordered it from Amazon. Okay? It is a great story, and the illustrations are wonderful. And I would say second grade, I enjoyed reading it. I think I read it in 15 minutes. But I hope our libraries, who's in charge of ordering books here? And I know, ladies, this will pass the test.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Hensley and Miss Proctor.
Okay, I don't know. I reckon you can get and of course the FFA in each school, and when they go to elementary schools, I mean, this book is, and the author is going to write The Day Teachers Quit, but that hadn't come out yet. But anyway, I mean, this is wonderful. But anyway, again, the staff appreciation at Charter School was well done, well organized, and I found that the county needs to upgrade the steps leading to the south lawn because they're crumbling. And I already told 2 supervisors, one today I had lunch with, to get on that project. And I'm excited about to start the school year in 9 days. And we have the C covered, 5 days. We got the C covered. I'm not going to mention what it is. Okay, I adjourn the meeting at 8:20. What? 8:22? Yeah. Close enough. Have a good evening, and thanks for coming. I closed. I didn't hear. You got it. Hey, would you get that for the old man?